Welcome back. We're here to do the twin flame connection. Yes, we cover this weekly, and we're going to channel the messages and see what we see coming through with the cards in the ruin cast, as well as finally looking at the angel number for this month. Now, this has been a very unique month from the twin flame path, and over the last 3 months, easy 3 months, I would say a lot of you have gone through a lot of spiritual changes. With the angel number in hand, with the number 10, we are wrapping up cycles. This being both the energy between the 1 and the 0, like the full card in tarot, the 1 really can make us feel like we have this brand new beginning, but we are feeling a little bit ill-equipped. More of this can be coming up, especially with the eclipse energy. And you may find even moving on further, this is a huge wrap-up stage, and this can be quite drastic, I would say. Some of us already may have seen this energy mid-month. Others, this is going to persevere over into the next month, I would really firmly believe. Now, the energies of what the angel number cover, it is where we are wrapping up cycles. It can be almost like the marriage card or, marriages, divorces, connections, contracts, partnerships, home-related subjects, wealth-related subjects. We have been going through these massive portals. So these doors are closing and opening, and it can be drastic and overnight quite quickly. The other is with these cycles ending, it's almost like we're harvesting. So it can be a little bit like weeding that metaphorical garden and really deciding with that clean slate, okay, what are you going to plant? Spiritually, sometimes this can make us feel out of alignment, especially in the twin flame path, because if we are not in communication with that person, it can make us feel that our destiny is not carrying us, but it's actually giving you the baton and saying, okay, where do you see your destiny going? And really tapping into that, which can attract the partnership back in. I do also predict communication coming through. And yet again, this is quite heavy on their minds at this time. Your thoughts and your actions, keeping them clear. Sometimes when our emotions come up in a trigger point, I do recall, especially at a point in my ascension, I was actually quite angry, because I really looked at myself and I thought, is this all this journey is? How much more do I have to clear? And it wasn't based on the fact that I believed I needed to clear to be better for someone. It was the triggers and the emotions that would come up through the ascension process. So if you're going through that, my empathy, it is going to change. It doesn't remain the same, and you do have love and support here. Your thoughts and your actions. So keeping them clear. It's really good during the eclipse to actually probably avoid, you're going to want sweets. You're going to maybe want to turn to pacifiers. There could be a lot of inner child that can come up with this particular eclipse. The other thing can be that if we're not clear, not to manifest, because what we can do is pixelate that manifestation. But if you have a very clear goal, really keeping your eye on it and trying to get a bit of tunnel vision, but also being open-minded, because changes can happen left and right. Changes in status, transformation, and for all ahead. So be prepared for such. Now we're going to have a look at the ruin cast. I haven't actually got it out of the book yet. I have got it up on the screen. And we're going to read from the ruin cast book and see the messages for the joint connection this week in the mix, and through the energy that we can be going through. Now, these energies can play out in the 3D as well as the 5D. I have really been on the fence whether to do it's a hard one, because the energy, regardless, what I have found is will really relate, because you are a joint frequency, so to speak. And so your experiences and their experiences will swap at times. So for a point, I had actually considered maybe doing ones for those of you in no communication, ones for those of you in communication, but it does exist regardless, because you have the 4D and you have the 3D and you have the 5D. So this ruin cast relates to Odin Ash Mushroom, very Saturn in nature, I believe. Raven, really being able to, ravens are very good in a sense that they are able to connect with the other side. With Uranus and Taurus in the mix of this, and the eclipse in Taurus, it's occult wisdom. It can be very psychic in nature, but it's also about protecting yourself. The planet links to Mercury. The day is Wednesday and the element is air for this ruin cast. Okay, mundane, advice, communication, contemplation, inspiration, authority, tradition, blessing, and verbal skills. Esoteric meaning of this ruin cast. Initiation, sacred knowledge, divine inspiration. Reversed, delusions, misunderstandings, lies, intellectual stagnation. And these are things that can spiritually come up. And with the element of the eclipse, it could be, okay, are these things physically holding us back? Do we need to move beyond it? The ruin represents us that, it reassures us that the answer is out there and may be received through inspiration, wise counsel, or a treasure of traditional wisdom. It counsels us to stop and listen. Make the effort to receive your embodiment of wisdom and understanding, such as the humour of Odin. However, that the answer to our problem may be revealed in unexpected ways. The words of a song or a radio, fragments from an advertisement we spot from a bus, or words shouted by a child in a playground. It is also an indication of verbal eloquence and the power of persuasion that we can utilise ourselves. Advertising is a way of exploiting this power. Reversed. The power of persuasion may be by others to undermine our better judgment or abuse for the same ends. We must take care not to only to transmit and receive that of which we understand and know to be true. Many times we do get to a space that we are perceiving a situation in the TF path. And yes, especially when there is no communication, it's very hard to make a decision. But no decision is also a decision, but you're joint. We're going to get into the cards. Now, your joint energy, there is a subject to do with the separation. For some of you, you can be coming out of the separation stage. This can come through in a myriad of ways. Remember, the ruin casts the number. This can be suddenly going into a relationship. It could be a soulmate energy. But this is the joint connection. So I feel it's more to do with both parties really looking at it and going, okay, what do we need to relieve ourselves of? Is it something emotional? Is it intellectual? Is it physical? Where maybe were we needing on that situation? But directly, there can be something going on inside us. Separately, I do feel that this could be an omen that communication can be coming in, and this separation stage is coming to an end. I do see through the frequency of this crowning energy, both parties here are really thinking about it. They don't want this separation to be here. They don't want it to be like that. There could be both parties really missing each other and thinking about each other very heavily over the next 2 weeks, I would predict. I'm also seeing that in the past position within the joint connection, there is a lot of chemistry, and I do feel both parties do feel the chemistry. I also do feel divine feminine is feeling that this person has transformed, and they want DM to be back to the way they were before, but they also feel they've changed. For some, yes, it can be for the better. For others, it can be this apprehension, but it is something spiritual that I would feel both parties going through, and the viewpoint of what we view within this joint connection is also changing. I do get this frequency that this situation is very different now. And again, it's almost like this revelation that both parties aren't wanting to move away from the circumstance. It's almost like this moving beyond the abandonment and actually having a revelation that it is a choice, but it feels unnatural. So I feel both parties are feeling a little bit out of sort, and it doesn't feel natural to be away from each other. There could be subjects to do with family that are coming up, and there's this guilt. But there, again, I do feel within the joint connection, this can be because of the silly season coming up soon, Thanksgiving and whatnot. All of those circumstances we look to. I feel it's almost that alignment frequency. It's like, are we actually positioned at the table with the correct people? And I don't know why I'm hearing the Last Supper. There's a lot of regret here. There's a lot of regret for the choices. I feel divine feminine also. Um, divine masculine is actually dreaming about divine feminine quite a bit. But I do feel it's almost like they're thinking the same as maybe what divine feminine has at a point in her cycle of ascension of, gosh, why does this keep happening? Or why is this connection as such that it's so strong? Um, they're finding it quite ironic. It's almost like really getting up in their heads about it and thinking, God, this is interesting. Why does this person keep surfacing in my life? And I do believe the Ruin Cast was mentioning that the signs and synchronicity. So I really feel it's playing out in their life. For some, they may be hearing things that are going on in your life. For some, they're actually looking back at it. They do feel for a very long time you have been extremely nurturing. Some have thought about wanting children with you. Others, it's the mirror of the family and the wisdom and the experiences that you both had. I feel, especially for those of you that have been in communication, it's almost like they're taking a leaf out of your book and realizing how similar you are, or how your wisdom is actually, aiding them to look at that perspective differently. They have a very close connection to your family. They're having more awareness that when there is an insecurity cropping up, it is coming from childhood. They feel at times it does directly impact the way you relate to each other. But again, I do feel they're moving beyond this. They do feel you're a very, very strong individual. And they do feel you're being awfully patient and it has impacted you, even though, in their higher consciousness, if they had delayed this reunion, it more than likely is for your protection or safety they're making reference to. But they're looking at it now and they're looking at it going, this is something they're really wanting. This is something that they're ready for. And they do feel at times they're the block to this. Okay. Divine feminine. This is a circumstance where you feel that this person, sometimes you're personalizing what's going on here, which is totally normal. By no means am I judging here. It appears to be that, at times you feel this person isn't fighting for you. They're fighting for the wrong things. At times you're feeling that they're not, getting on their horse and coming in to save you. But, and it's not, that's a cliche really in a statement. But being the person that you feel that they actually could be. Others of you also aren't wanting to fight, especially for those of you in communication. You feel that there's been butting heads. It's really not progressing the situation. And you can actually, especially in the 5D, for those of you with no communication, I feel it's almost like the white flag being flown here. You do remember the more nostalgic times. Although you find that doesn't help you, you're trying to put that behind you. I do feel both of you, do have, you do have this chemistry for each other. Both cards have come up. We have God of sexuality and Goddess of sexuality. You're aspecting in the heart of it, and you could be questioning, am I enough? But for most of you, you're thinking about what your needs are. Sacral chakra can be increasing, especially moving into November, especially by the transits. You're concerned. You're like, is this going to change? Is it going to move beyond just intimacy? Is it going to move beyond longing for this person? Because what you have in your heart for this person is a lot of love. There could be an offer from another person of love, but this person is not weighing as heavy on your mind as divine masculine. You worry at times that things could change. Out of love, you're happy to sacrifice. You really do look at life and you understand the element that we make sacrifices, but there's only so far. There's an awful lot of level up here with Divine Feminine. They're actually, I'm going to pull some clarifiers. Yours is the first one, really. I've been guided to pull clarifiers. It feels like you could have a bit of a topsy-turvy week. Now, this can be one moment feeling that you want to contact, the next minute feeling you don't. You're very up and down. There could be a choice between two paths there. I want you to go back to the Ruin cast. In the context of this bottom row, look how it's moving. It's moving from making a sacrifice in the Hangman position to do with love. Goddess of love, right? Moving beyond grief, which can be a little bit, we're getting up and down, which, that's an element of healing. We go through various stages, and then we're jumping into the power of the goddess of power, and it's oozing Black Moon Lilith energy. She's almost got that Medusa-like energy, eclipse energy moving towards November, which definitely has that scorpionic energy and pending. I'm noticing the serpent and the apple and, almost like the power of persuasion. And the outcome card is no boundaries. You do have, if you move beyond your shadow, you're limitless. You really are. Just be careful not to manipulate. You literally can just go in and communicate point blank zero how you feel. You'd be quite surprised how well that will work sometimes. However, it's almost like you're mulling over a situation in your mind. It's a 50-50 here. Okay? Now, masculines. Look at their crowning energy. It's funny, both of you are in reverse at the moment, but look, it makes sense, really, the eclipse and the context. This is a very critical divine masculine. I feel, on the table here, it's reversed. On the screen, it's in the upright, which my guides are showing me that means it's actually turning about. It's a process they're going through. So they are wise beyond their years. There are sometimes reasons why they choose to do things in a certain way. But I do get this is a positive thing. I think this is change. They know that you've forgiven them an awful lot, but and they don't know why. They also feel there's only so far this can go. And, sometimes when you have that bounce back effect, they feel you're resilient. And it was really coming up in the joint connection, looking at the patience and how resilient you are. I do feel there's going to be a straightening out and ironing out of the crease. For some of you, it feels like an apology. For some of you, also, this does feel like a rebirth that they're wanting to have with you, but it's also within themselves and their attitudes and how they deal with conflict. We have God of Awakening in the upright, which is really positive. This is something they're directly working on. Again, same situation. The card has moved to the upright. It fell to the floor. They're working on this. This is a quick level up. This is because Divine Feminine is focusing on herself and they're taking a note out of your book. I do feel if you have a chance meeting, you could bump into this person. This could be at a coffee shop or a restaurant. For some of you, this is a date and they're tuning into it psychically. For others of you, it can be that you're going to meet with this person. I also feel they've been having a bit of nightmares happening here. This can be thinking, are you going to move on? How is it going to be? I'm going to pull 3 cards for the outcome and the joint connection because I get this feeling there's going to be a turn of events. I would say there is a distinct possibility that there can be some triggers this week, especially moving into November. I don't know. God, I was going to say January. We're not there yet. Jeez. Slow down. Okay, 3 cards, please. For the twin flame connection. Some of you know what this new situation's going to be. I do feel some of you are going to be quite shocked. Some of you are saying, hey, hell will freeze over before movement will happen. Don't forget who you are, they're asking you. Okay, what is it? I know there's something coming. I can feel it. Okay, what is the unseen here in this situation, please? You're going to have to take a leap of faith. It's going to take you unexpectedly. It's going to take you by surprise. You're going to have to trust your instincts. You may not have a lot of time. This can be, oh God, it's almost like if you felt you hadn't healed enough, it's almost like it's saying you've run out of time. You're going to have to trust yourself, especially with this union phase. I do feel for some of you can be being asked to jump in the deep end. Some of you also are going through a tower moment, but this is taking you to your destiny. They're wanting you to trust it. I do feel the unexpected also can be a possibility where you don't even have time to think. It comes, and it's almost like having to then make a very hard decision. The inner child as a possibility is going to come up, and you're going to have to trust your instincts. I do feel this is a surprise. It's really funny how my guides have been working this month. It's almost like there's certain things I get the vibration, but they're not wanting to show me, and it feels it's going to be so wide that would have to be a personal reading. It's just, it's so wide, but they're definitely showing me that something quite major is coming. I do psychically sense that there is going to be a lot that are going through very major changes. I also do feel there are going to be a pocket group that are going into union, but I definitely feel some major change here. I definitely feel for Divine Masculine there is this frequency where they're coming in to protect you, okay? And that protection does feel potentially it could be through insecurities. It could be through just majorly making a decision and saying, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm doing. I'm coming in. I also do feel if you are seeing someone, they can be hearing about it through the grapevine. Take care, and I'll see you next week.